Hi guys. Hi everyone. I'm going to give you all a couple minutes to join and then we're going to start. Make sure you have everything that we need for today. And I'll go through a supply list with you guys just in 1 second. But I'm going to give everyone a couple more minutes to join and I'm going to make sure I have everything that I need for today as well. Because you know that's important. All right, I grabbed a couple pieces of paper. That is good to have. Hi guys, hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm gonna give everyone a couple more minutes and then we'll start. So make sure you have your Christmas ornaments ready. And we'll paint beautiful Christmas ornaments with a galaxy type of sky and some trees, some black trees on them. All right. I think I have everything. That's okay if they're small. Any size will work. No particular size that you have to have. Technically, you don't even have to have the exact same ornaments. In my case, as you can see, they are nice and circular. This is just regular ornaments from Dollar Tree. They're plastic. They're pretty big, as you can see the size of it, right? They're pretty awesome. They sell like set of 2, I believe, for like $1.25. So that's a good value. But I also know that they have them on Amazon, and they have a large packages, large sets of them on Amazon. So you can get them there too. All right, guys, I think we can start. This is going to be super fun and super easy, actually. So that's a good thing, something to look forward to. So let's go through our supplies and make sure we have everything that we need for today. First thing you're going to need, of course, is something to paint on. In my case, it's going to be this wonderful plastic ornaments. I can remove the top two here. You can put the lights inside. You can do anything that you want for them. You can also use the flat ones. If you have, let's say, flat wooden ones, you can use them. Technically, you can paint this on anything you want. Any kind of ornament that you have, you're absolutely free to use it. We also get asked a lot, do you need it to be glass or plastic? Doesn't matter at all. I personally prefer plastic because I find that the paint sticks better to it, but whatever works for you guys, all of that is perfectly fine. No particular one. Also, I will be using just regular acrylic paint here, the one that we usually use for our painting events. But if you would like to use special paint that is like a multi-surface paint, absolutely, you're free to do that as well. And the only difference is acrylic paint is not specifically meant for the surfaces. However, it will hold, and it will hold well. It's just you can't really wash it or like scrub it. When you use multi-surface paint, you might be able to actually wash it after. So that's the only difference I personally find. So feel free to use any paint that you would like. What else are we gonna need? We're gonna need a couple different brushes. For this particular painting, it's good to have at least 2. And you're gonna need brush number 1 is a medium brush. So this is my medium brush. And in brush number 2, you need a small brush. So those 2 brushes are very important to have. If you want to have a large brush as well, or bigger brush, this one is not very large, but it's a bit bigger brush, that is fine too. And the only thing you're gonna need, you will be doing with a bigger brush is you will be doing splatter with a bigger brush. So that's the only thing you're gonna need it for. Really, you only need a good small brush and a medium brush. Alternatively, what you guys could use, you could use sponge. So if you want to, instead of brush, you can do everything, all that with a sponge. That will work too. And of course, you're gonna need a little bit of water. It's hard to do this without water, so make sure you have some. And our paint. I will be using 4 different colors. I have 3 here. I have my blue, red, black, and I have white as well. So So here's my white. I have this big thing of white. And I'll be mixing them into all shades that we need. If you want teal, you're going to need a little bit of yellow as well. Or if you have pre-mixed colors such as pinks, purples, teals, you can totally use pre-mixed colors. You don't even need to have primaries. But I will be mixing primaries, and you're free to mix along with me if you would like. What else are we going to need? I think that's pretty much it. In the end of it, guys, if you want to add a little bit of glitter to it, or if you want to seal it, you're free to do that. So if you say, let's say you have a nice glitter in the house, absolutely grab it. We will add it right in the end. Or if you want to grab a ribbon to tie it on top, you can do that as well. So anything that you can think you can use on this painting, absolutely go for it. So let me show you what we'll start with here. We're going to start with one, and then we'll move on to another one. And I'm going to start with a pinker one. So what I'm going to need, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab my medium brush. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start dabbing on my pinks. So for some of the time, I'll be holding my ornament like this. Sometimes I'll be holding like this. You can totally put it on the table because we're only going to be working on the top part right now. Try to go as far on the bottom as you can, but you don't have to go all the way because the very bottom is going to be black. So don't worry about that right now. Let's just work on the top. So the first thing you're going to need is you're going to grab your medium brush. You're going to grab some white paint and some red paint, and we're going to make our first shade of pink. Can be any shade that you want. There's no particular shade that it has to be. I think I'm going to start pretty light here just because why not? We can technically fit as many shades of pink here as you want. Does the size matter? Absolutely not. Any size will work just fine. So I'm going to grab some of my white. I will add a little smidge of red, make some nice pink. Actually, let's make it a little darker. This is a little too light here. Yeah, this one will be good as our first light pink. And with this color, I'm going to start dabbing it on. So do you see I'm dabbing it like this? Alternatively, instead of dabbing, you can use brush strokes. You could brush stroke it on. That is totally fine too. So either dab or brush stroke it on and just all around anywhere you want. There are no particular spots where you have to add it or don't have to add it. All that is totally up to you. Let me set it down here. And guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in chat here. I'll be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. So do you see I'm adding a couple of brush strokes here and there all around pretty much. But mostly on the upper part only. So I'm not touching the bottom part because the bottom part is going to be different color there. So I'm going to wash my brush and get it ready for next color. But in the meantime, you guys can take a minute. I'll give you all a minute to do this. And when you guys have it, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in chat that you're ready and good to go. And I'll show you your next steps. Just quickly making sure nobody's lost. Yeah, you can definitely do this another time too. There's absolutely no rush. The video will stay up here on YouTube, so you can do it whenever you're ready for it. All right, you ornaments stay. Nope, doesn't want to stay. But the good thing, it dries fast. So my is pretty much dry at this point. Not fully, but it's dry-ish. Yes? Good to go. Yes. Good question. Are we covering the whole thing or leaving some clear spots at the top? So there are a couple different ways you could do it. You could technically start by covering the whole thing and layer all the following colors on top. But you can also lay them all one at a time and just overlap them. In the end, we are not going to see any uncovered areas. But either one is fine. If let's say you were doing this at your own convenience later on after this live event is done, I would say the safest way to go about it would be starting by coloring the whole thing with one color. But because we're doing it online and we don't want it to carry on forever, we want to do it in a good timely manner. That's why we're going to do it one color at a time and then just overlap them because of the drying times in between. That's the only reason why we're doing it one color at a time and we're not coloring the whole thing. Either way, in the end, you will get the same results. All right, good to go. Awesome. So next one, I'm just going to make it a little redder. So to the same color I just used, let's make it a little bit more. I kind of ran out of that one. So the same color, right? Pretty much. To the same color, I'm going to add more red. So it turns into darker pink. You see? Visibly darker. And with this color, I'm going to go again. I'll do pretty much the same thing. I will dab in certain areas, and you can brush stroke in other areas. Let's say don't use too much paint on your brush. I see a question. Do we put on thick or do we put on thin? That really depends up to you. My is an in between. I can't say that it's thick, but also I can't tell you that it's thin because it's not too thin. You can't see, it's not transparent. It's pretty solid, but also I am not adding any blobs. So it's in between. You see, sometimes I even like to help myself with my finger a little bit. I'm creating a beautiful mess right here. And with the second layer of pink, as you can see, I'm covering pretty much the whole thing except of the bottom. And we still have a lot of colors to go, and that's fine because the rest we can just overlap. So this is what it looks like so far. And this is just the base coat. We're nowhere near done here, which is a good news. I'm gonna go on the bottom. Not the very bottom. As I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna keep very bottom uncovered because there's gonna be only black there, but you wanna get your color as low as you can here. Yes, Deborah, I'm glad. I'm glad it looks pretty already. It's not bad. It's getting there. Guys, if you have the smaller ones, that's okay too. You can do this in any size. The size doesn't really matter here. All right, I think I have a good base here, two-tone base. Oh, that's a great idea too. So Michelle here is saying that if we take off the toilet paper roll and cut off a small slice of it, it works perfect as a stand. That is brilliant. I love it. So guys, take your time, and whenever you have this first layer, whoops, mine's gonna roll for a second. So whenever you have that first layer, let me know, and I'll show you what's next. In the meantime, I'm gonna try to make a stand out of napkin here. Let's see if that works. Not so much so far, but it's okay. I'll keep trying. I'm sure it will work out one way or another. All right, so let's see. How about that? I think this is good. It will do for now. Oh yeah, that's a good idea too. The top of the small cup. You guys are full of great ideas. I love it. Should the paint be a bit textured and bumpy? Either one is fine. It may or may not turn out bumpy. And especially while the paint is wet, it's likely going to be bumpy. For me, for example, while it's wet, it looks very bumpy. But as soon as it dries, it looks super, super flat. So depending on the brand of paint, the bumps may completely disappear once it dries, which happens very often, that it will look bumpy and then it will disappear. However, if you're using certain brand of paint, the bumps may stay, and that's totally fine too. If you don't like them, just try to use a little bit less paint or dab it off a bit with your finger or a paper towel or a brush. As soon as you dab them off, they're going to disappear. So either one is fine. And again, whenever you guys have the first layer, give me thumbs up. Let me know in live chat here, and then I'll show you our next color. Ready. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Great. Done, done. Awesome. Perfect, guys. All right, our next color, I'm going to put light purple. Actually, let's move this. Let's move that. And I'm going to grab the same brush, and here is the paint that we used, right? I'm going to make a bit more of it because I completely ran out. So before I move to the next step, I'm going to make a little bit more of it. I'll say about the same color. This looks about right. And now to this color, I'm going to add a tiniest smidge of blue. You see, just a little bit. You see it turned light purple. I think we could go a little bit darker right away, but you could also start with this one. Either one is fine. So I'm going to grab another tiny smidge of purple, add it in. Let's see. I think this is a good one. And now I'm going to do pretty much the same thing with this color. And again, you don't want to get rid of the second color fully. You still want to see it. You just want to add additional color. So again, you can either do this with a brush, or you can do the combo of brush and, let's say, a sponge or a paper towel or a finger, something to dab it so it looks more blended. I personally like finger for that. I find finger the most useful. But if you don't have, let's say, a sponge and you still really want to dab it and you don't want to get your hands dirty, what you could do, you could use paper towel. It's totally fine. Just grab a piece of paper towel and do the same thing with a piece of paper towel. And it works perfect. Okay, stand, go back. And you're going to do it anywhere that you want it to be. So let's get rid of you for now. So we're just adding complexity to it. It's turning out better and better. It looks better and better with every brush stroke. Ta-da! And again, I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to do this. And whenever you are ready, give me thumbs up. And then we're going to move to next step. Yes, great. Awesome. Let me see. So just one by one, we're gonna continue adding colors, and as we go, we're gonna make them darker and bluer. So that's the game plan here. Done. Great. Awesome. All right, then I guess we can move to next one. And for next one, I'm just going to grab a little bit more blue again, add it to the same color. Actually, maybe even more blue. And you see, I'm not taking a lot right away. I'm always adding little by little because I don't want to overdo it. Blue is generally a powerful color, so if you take a little too much, it's going to turn everything blue really, really fast. So I think this is a good color for the next one. It's visibly darker and bluer than my first one, so it should work really well. No problem, Pam. Have fun. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'll add a couple dabs, and then you can either blend it with the same brush or with a paper towel or with a finger or with a sponge. Something, we just need to blend it into the surroundings here. And I'm actually going to go pretty close to this one, to the very top, because I want my top to be a little bit darker. Yes, Lisa, for sure. The video will stay up on our YouTube pretty much forever. So if you're not ready to do it today and you just want to watch and do it some other day, you absolutely can do that. So this is what happened there. I'm going to move forward. But every next color that we add, we want to add a little bit less than a previous color because we don't want to accidentally cover up one of the colors fully. In the end, we want all our colors visible to one degree or the other. Some more visible, some less visible, but still all of them visible. All right, I think this is pretty good for this color. I think I'm going to stop because I feel like if I don't, I'm going to overdo it and I'll have too much of this color in the end. So again, I'm just going to put it on this stand for now to chill there for a couple minutes until you guys are ready to move, and my fingers look wonderfully painted. So yeah, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to get that ready, and whenever you're ready, let me know in chat, and then we'll move on to our darkest purple here. This would be our last purple, the one we're going to move on to right now. Because as you can see, it's already pretty dark, right? So we don't want to go too dark here because we still have black trees to go. So if we go too dark on a purple, then there's not going to be any contrast between our ornament and the black trees. And we do want to have contrast. So that's why we can't go crazy dark. We can't go to like almost black color. Or we can go one shade darker. Ready? Yes. Awesome. Wonderful, guys. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I really hope you're going to show me how they turned out, because I am super excited to see what they look like in the end. All right, so let's make a darker color. This was the color we just used, right? So what I'm going to do, I am going to take more red, straight red, add it into it, and more blue. So what it does is that makes different proportion. It becomes less white there, because originally, do you remember we had white mixed into it, and more dark purple. And I think this should be perfect for less purple. You see, it's pretty dark, but it also not as dark as black. This is black for comparison. You can still see the difference. So this is the purple I'll be using for my last one. To answer your question, how come yours is dull and why is it sparkly looking? So I would say probably just different brand of paint. Mine is regular acrylic paint, but it's the paint we usually use. It's Start brand. I'm going to show you in the end, guys, the brand that I was using. But different brands of acrylic paint will have different color, clearly, because they have different pigment, different base. So I would say yours just probably dries more matte than mine, because mine dries somewhat glossy. It's not very glossy, but it's somewhat glossy. It doesn't dry flat either. And if yours, let's say, dries flat, it's going to look a bit more dull in a way. But what you could do to revive it is you can just seal it in the end with varnish, and that will make it more shiny and more contrast. Yes, it's the matte thing that you're probably not liking. But again, just varnish it in the end. And actually, Michael's has this thing. I don't have it here. Actually, I will check in a second. When I give you guys a break, I can check it. It has glitter in it. It's like a clear gel that has glitter in it. So that one would be perfect for this one as well, because it will make it look like stars on the sky. But just any clear varnish will work perfectly fine as well. And when you do clear varnish, choose gloss varnish if you buy it from the art store. What varnish do I recommend? I personally use Liquitex varnish, but I know it's pretty expensive, and they have different brands as well. So really use whichever one your local art store has. They all do pretty much the same thing, but choose gloss. If you want it to pop and color to get brighter and more contrast, gloss it is. Once you put gloss even on a dull-ish paint color, it will bring it up. It will make it more contrast. So gloss varnish, just go to your local art store and ask people who work there. They'll recommend you the best product out of the line that they carry. All right, so now we're going to do our darkest purple. And again, I'm going to start probably with the very top. So I'm just going to add a bit. I don't have to really add it everywhere on the top, because my top is already pretty dark. Just another dimension of the dark purple. Martha, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think that might work for a lot of people too, to take off hook and hold just like that with one finger here, one finger there. In my case, I can't. It's a bit too big for my hands, but it is a great idea. So thank you for sharing. Okay, so I am done with this. I don't want to be adding any more dark purple. I'm happy with this amount. I feel like if I add a bit more, it's going to be too much. So I would rather not. So I would say after this one, guys, look at it again, because we're pretty much done with laying our colors. However, if you feel like you lost one or more of colors, make that color again and add it now before we do the splatter. Because once we do the splatter, you're not going to be able to add anything anymore. So I think I'm going to go back to my light pink because I feel like I lost all of that. So maybe I will add a little bit of light pink. So I'm just going to grab a bit more white again, a tiny touch of pink, mix them up, make that light pink, and maybe just a couple dabs of that. But if you still have some light pink, you don't have to do this at all. I'm only doing it because I feel like I lost all of it, and I would like to have a little more than what I currently have. All right, I'm happy with this. I feel like now I have enough of light pink either. So I'm gonna stop. And I'll give you guys a couple more minutes as always to finish up with your base colors. And whenever you feel like you have enough base colors, then just give me thumbs up and I will show you what we'll do next. But again, no rush whenever. We have all the time in the world, pretty much. Ta-da! And as you can see, my bottom is not painted because I will do my bottom with pure black here. Done! Yes! Awesome! Awesome, awesome, awesome. Great. Now for next step, we're going to splatter a little. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my laptop a little bit further from the danger zone. Not that it doesn't have enough splatter on it. It has a lot, but I don't want to add any more unnecessarily. So what are we going to do? We're going to splatter. And the colors that you can splatter, it's up to you. It just has to be a light color. So optionally, you can do light pink, you can do light purple, you can do straight white. I think I'm going to go with straight white. I'm not afraid of contrast. I think it will look great. But if you would like it a bit more muted and a bit less contrast, light pink or light purple would be a safer choice as far as splatter. So there are a couple different ways that you could do splatter as well. One of the ways I'm going to show you with white paint here is you can grab the bigger brush. Doesn't matter specifically what size, as long as it's on a bigger side. Then you can grab a bit of paint. I always water down my paint for this step. Always, 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 regardless of which style you decide to go with on splatter, you're going to need to water down your paint. And then you can do this. That's one option. That will give you splatter that looks like that. Alternatively, there is a second option how you can do it. And second option is, again, you take this really watered down white paint on your brush. You see I'm getting it all the way into all the bristles of the brush. Now I'm going to take another brush that is clean, and I'm going to hold it close to my ornament. And it's really close. It's literally like 1 centimeter. And then I'm going to bang this brush on that brush. And that's going to splatter as well. And that's what happened. Whether it's good or bad, it really depends on what look you're going for. It's one way to splatter. I'm going to do mix and match of all that. Some places going to have more splatter, some places going to have less splatter. It's a galaxy after all on the sky there. And it really depends. So if you refill your brush, of course, and do this, you're going to have a bigger splatter. Do you see? I'm going to splatter all around. Yes, I can show the first one too. The first one is super simple. You just take a brush full and you do this. This is, your splatter is going to be less visible. It's going to be smaller in a way. If you do the second method, the one with 2 brushes, is going to be bigger, more dominant. So it really depends which look you're going for. If you want it to be like really like stars in the distance, almost invisible, the finger one, it is for you the best way to do it. If you want to have very dominant bright stars, visible, chunky, then this one with 2 brushes is much better. And refill your brush every now and then. I would say whenever necessary. All right, mine has lots and lots of splatter. Let me show you closer. I can actually bring this one closer here again, since we don't need to splatter anymore. You see I have some places that have like very dominant, visible, chunky stars, and some that have very small stars, and some that have more like blobs. It's like a full-on galaxy right there with different kinds of stars. But again, whichever look you personally like more, you can stick with that one. You can totally, yeah, absolutely, you can use toothbrush to splatter. I personally don't use toothbrush to splatter. And the only reason why is, well, actually 2 reasons why. One, I don't have a toothbrush that I am not using that I want to splatter with. And second, I don't want to have everyone come prepared with a toothbrush. Like if you have old one and you don't mind using it for paint, absolutely go for it. Probably the easiest way to do it. But also, I don't want you all to go buy toothbrushes just for that, because it's, I don't know, it just seems wasteful. So really up to you. Absolutely, you could do exact same thing with a toothbrush. Just like do this across the toothbrush, fill it with paint, and you'll have a very nice, subtle splatter, I would say as well. It's going to be probably very even. Susan, to answer your question, why does mine look so smooth and yours looks full of fingerprints? I am not quite sure. Mine looks actually a lot like fingerprints too. If you look at it close up, there are quite a few fingerprints there. But I think just because of how much we have layers here and splatter, it's really hard to see. They all blend together in the end. I know, Debbie, I feel the same way. My laptop is covered in splatter, all of it. No problem. You guys are very welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm having lots of fun doing this. And again, whenever you have the splatter, give me thumbs up, whoops, say I am good to go, and then we are going to move to our next one. So what we'll, oh, actually no, we need one more little thing on this one before we move to next one. But soon, it's going to be a very, very small detail we're going to add in white, and then we'll move to next one. Oh no, everything got covered. In the meantime, I'm actually going to remove tag from my dollar store ornament here. Go back in their thing. Yay! All right. That's a good idea too, to put it in a shoebox and splatter it in a shoebox. That's great. Yeah, covering it with paper is a great idea too. That's funny. You guys are all messy painters. All right. So the last thing we're going to do on this one, you're going to grab the smallest brush that you have. This is probably the smallest brush I can find right now. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of white paint on it. And we're going to add a couple falling stars here too. So those are just going to look like little flicks. You see? And you can add them anywhere you want, as many as you want. You can have just one, you can have lots. All that is completely up to you. They can be going same direction or different direction. That is your call. To answer your question, when those are stored, will the paint chip away? It shouldn't. Again, it really depends on which brand of paint you use. My paint, I have a couple of ornaments that I've done last year with this paint. They are in absolutely perfect shape. There is nothing that happened to them at all. But again, it depends on how they store, how you store them, depends what brand of paint you use, and so on. I've done those a couple times in actually multi-surface paint, which is more expensive. That's why I'm not using it right now, because I don't want you guys to go to the store and have to buy a whole new set of paint, especially more expensive paint, when acrylic just does the great job already. So I've done it a couple times in multi-surface paint, and it held exactly the same as acrylic. So I think it should be fine. Absolutely, you can use canvas, no problem. For sure, 100%. And also, when you store them, it probably is best to varnish them. But if you decide to varnish them, let them dry fully. So let them dry a couple days before you put them away, because varnish has a thing. It might look safe to touch, but once you store it, if it was still a little bit wet, it's going to stick to the paper. Not the same day, over time. So make sure it's fully dry. Maybe wait a couple days before you put it away. But I put mine away without varnishing them, and they were totally fine the next year. Yeah, I guess really it depends where you store them and so on. But yeah, they should be fine. I don't see why they wouldn't. But if you want to be safe, varnish them first. All right, and let them dry. I'm going to put this one aside because we're pretty much done with the background here. The only thing that is left for us here are the trees. So we're going to leave it. And I'm going to use I will move to my next one because we're doing a set of them. And next one is going to have very similar colors. It's going to have purple too, but instead of light pinks, it's going to have light blues. So it's going to be blue purple. This one was pink purple. So I'll put this one away. Might need to make another stand. Probably, yes. All right, let me make another stand quickly. Yay, I'm glad you like them. To answer your question, what colors did we use? If you're just joining us now, feel free to rewind this video to the beginning and you will see we mix everything. Every color that is on that ornament, we mix from primaries. So you are free to mix along with us. Just feel free to rewind it to the beginning so you can start from there, because it would be pretty hard to catch up right now. We already one ornament in. Or you can do this one first with us, the one we're starting now, and then go back to the beginning and make this one. So that's an option too. All right, let's put this one aside here. Great. So this one, pretty much the same thing that we've done with our first one. The only difference is going to be we're going to start with our bluer colors here. As I mentioned earlier, you can actually use teal color. It doesn't have to be just blue, but it is definitely easier to use blues versus teals. Teals, tricky. Blues, simple. So I'm going to show you in teal just because I've done it a couple times before. But if you want to have a bit easier time or you have a couple ornaments, start with blue one first. And then if you want to make another one with a tealer color, you can do that as well. What I'm using to make stand, so just a square of paper towel that are rolled. So here it is. So just a piece of paper towel that are rolled, right? Fully. And then I connected the ends, wrap them into each other. Done. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my medium brush here. Nope, that's not the one. Here it is. And I'm gonna start by mixing my lightest teal color. So I need a bit more blue here. Oh, sorry, white here. I am going to do trees in the end. So if you guys just doing the one, you can just hang out with me until I finish this one, and then we'll do trees together on both of them. All right, so I'm gonna start with a base of white. I'm gonna scoop some white on the side. Then I will take a little bit of blue and mix it up. And for those who don't want to do teal, you can start with actually light blue. This would be your starter color if you are not doing teal. If you are doing teal, you're going to make this blue, and then you're going to take the tiniest smidge of yellow. And guys, when I say a tiny smidge, I mean it. And you're going to add it to this light blue. And you see, turn into teal. Now with this color, we're going to do exact same thing that we've done with the first color on the other one. We're going to add some of that on our ball at random spots. I would say be generous with this paint, not just a little bit, quite a bit. Again, if we had all the time in the world, or if you're doing this with a recording, you can even just cover the whole thing, and that would be fun too. That would be even probably safer way to do it, by coloring the whole thing first. We're doing it in parts and pieces and not covering the whole thing right away, only because we want to stick with a certain timeline. We don't want to go over, I would say 2.5, 2 hours, because then everyone gets tired. But if you're just home chilling and you want to do it with the first color being solid, go for it. Jack, you absolutely can use a sponge. Yes, for sure. Guys, you're free to use anything you want here. Sponge, paper towel, finger, brush. I am mostly just adding that with my brush. Sometimes on a first layer, I will dab a couple with my finger. I'm not using paper towel, but I know some people find it helpful to do the same thing to dab with a paper towel. It will give you slightly different texture, but nice one, not a bad texture. So feel free to do that with a paper towel too. All right, I think this is enough of this color for me. Just have quite a bit here and there. So I think I'm ready to move on to my second color. But again, I'll give you guys a second. So whenever you have it, let me know in chat, and then we'll move to our next color here. And again, it's going to be slightly darker. All right, I see some thumbs up. That's great. Done. Great. Awesome, guys. So for our next color, we're going to make slightly darker color. I'll actually start by making a little bit more of this one because, again, I almost ran out. We'll just make a bit more of the same color first. I think that looks about right. And then to the same color, I'm going to add more blue to make it a little darker. And another smidge of yellow to keep it on a teal side again. And again, if you're just doing blue and not teal, that's okay. You don't have to add any yellow. You can just go right ahead with this blue. See, it's not crazy dark, but it's a little darker, visibly darker than my first color. Actually, we can add a couple more smidges. It doesn't look dark enough yet. It's supposed to be like a shade or two darker. So let's add another smidge of blue here. Let's see, how's this? Nope, let's go even darker. Smidge of yellow. So now with this color, we'll add second layer. And again, I'm adding a little bit of this color, then I'm smudging it. You can smudge it with a brush, you can smudge it with your finger, you can smudge it with a paper towel, anything that you would like. And try not to cover up fully your first layer. I usually start by adding this in between, but yes, I definitely overlap my first light blue with it as well. Oh, thank you. I like my nail polish too. It's so sparkly. I love sparkly things. Sparkly things make me very happy. And guys, I'm actually, so do you see I added it here? What I'm not doing is I'm not smudging the middle of this color because there's absolutely no reason. What I'm smudging, the only thing I'm smudging is the edge because I want to blend the edge. The middle, I like it solid. I don't even want to touch it, just the edge. So it merges a bit better into the neighboring colors. So again, we're just shade by shade, we're building intensity on this ornament. We started with the lightest color. Now this one is slightly darker. It's not dark by any means, but it is slightly darker, right? So we will end up having a two-tone bowl fully covered, and then we're going to move on to darker blues and purples. So pretty much the same thing that we've done with that one. Should first layer be see-through? Not necessarily, but also if it is see-through, it's not a big deal. I would say it's a personal preference. If you like it more see-through, then it's fine. If not, add another layer or blob your paint a little bit more so it's less see-through. You still have a lot of layers to go, so by the end of it, you probably, even if your first layer is see-through, you're probably not going to see anything through in the end because we still have a lot to go. However, if it's bugging you, absolutely feel free to just add another layer right away. Aw, Stephanie, that's so nice. Yes, pearl paint sounds like it's going to look really good. I feel like all metallics would be perfect here. And again, I'm getting as far down as I can, but I'm not doing the very bottom just because it's going to be black anyway. There is no point to do it. If you already did your bottom, it's not a mistake. It's just a little bit of extra work that you're not going to see in the end. That's why I'm not doing it. But try to get pretty far down with it because you don't want to have uncovered areas. All right, I am done with my second layer. So this is the base for my second ornament. And I have two colors right now, and I'm going to start moving on to the third one very, very soon. But I'll give you guys a couple minutes to do this first. Yes, you're done 3. That's awesome. You're fast. So just whenever you guys have it, give me a thumbs up. Say I'm ready or I'm good to go, and then we can move it. We can move to our next color here. And this is the finished background with a different color scheme. Oops, don't touch. Go back. Oh no, you just dropped it. Did it break? Or is it all good? All right, so mine is good. And I see a couple dones and good to go, so that's great. We're gonna move to our next color. So on the same spot, I'm actually just gonna take more blue and add it here. I'm not adding any more yellow here, just the blue. So if you were doing blue on a first place, you were not doing teal, good for you, you can just add blue. If you were doing teal, now your step is the same. You're not adding any more yellow there, just a little bit of blue. And you see how it got a bit darker. Again, it's not crazy dark, but it is visibly darker, and that's what we want. And with this color, we're going to go our third layer. And we're just going to add a little bit less than the second layer, right? Because we don't want to cover up our first and second layer. We just want to add an addition. Oh, good. I'm so glad it didn't break. It would be so sad if it did. Smudged, you can fix that. So again, do you see I'm adding just a little bit? And I'm not really smudging with my finger or whatever you choose to smudge with. I'm not really smudging the middle of this area that I added. I'm mostly smudging just the edge to blend it, to merge it into other colors. And again, you could totally do this with sponges, or if you have a piece of paper towel, you can literally like smudge it, sponge it with a paper towel. Done. Yes, awesome. Good job. Mine is almost done. Not yet, but getting there. Done. Great job, guys. I'll wait a couple more minutes for a few more of us to be done, and then we'll move to next color. Done. Yes, looks like planet. Exactly like planet Earth, even better. Nice. That's great that you're doing with the canvas. I'm sure it looks wonderful. All right, guys, I will add next color. Next color, I am going to add purple. So I'm gonna, to the same spot that I used before, I'm gonna add another smidge of blue to darken it up even more. And then I'm gonna take the tiny smidge of red, actually maybe more, mix it in to make it look a bit more purple. It may not look super purple to you, but it's gonna have like a hint of purple to it. And it should be darker too. See, that's my next color. You can just straight darker blue, that's okay too. It doesn't even have to be purple. As long as it's darker, that's all that matters here. I just wanted to introduce another color. It's not exactly just blue, but if you want to stick with just blues, it's totally fine. It will still look really good. You see it gets deeper and more rich in color and in texture with every next color. It just gets more and more interesting. So I think I'm done with this color. I'm happy with this amount. I don't want to be adding any more or any darker, because you see this side is actually darker and this side is lighter. So I'm happy with this. I'm going to put it down and I will wait for a couple more of you to give me thumbs up, and then we'll move on to splatter. That's okay, Susan, no problem. And guys, just so you know, if maybe you are new to YouTube Live, you can actually pause this video and you can rewind it. If you want to see certain sections again, just go back, scroll back to the beginning of this video and start watching from the beginning. Even while we're live, those options are available. Yes, my too. I just cleaned up this finger, the one, my main dabbing finger, but this one is quite white still, and which is fine. I'm still gonna use it for some white, so we'll clean it up later. No biggie. So do you see they're getting there? But this one we're gonna splatter next. So whenever you have it, again, I will explain again how to do it just in case you guys just joined us and this is the first one you're doing and you're going to do that one later. It's totally fine. So option number one is you grab your medium or large brush, you dip it in water and then in white, and you really water down your white. That's actually important for every any way that you decide to splatter. Water down your white. You need to have a nice and liquid paint. And then option number one is you just take it with your finger and you do this. And it's going to give you splatter. That's one way to do it. Option number two, again, I'm going to move my laptop a bit further from the danger. All right. And now I'm going to grab a clean brush, hold it like that, and with that brush with liquid white on it, I'm going to do this. You see? So you can do mix and match whichever way you like. You can do that way, you can do this way, you can do both of those ways. Just make sure you have stars. You can have a little, you can have a lot. If you have an extra toothbrush in the house that you're not using and you would like to use toothbrush for splattering, absolutely. You'll be using the same way with a finger. You just, instead of brush, you will be using a toothbrush. And what that will do, it's going to give you actually small and more even splatter, which I personally, it's not my favorite look. I like more of a chunky splatter. I like when I can see it, when it's uneven. But if you like more of even and a bit of more subtle look, you might enjoy doing it with a toothbrush. And make sure you don't do this anywhere where you cannot clean up. So let's say don't do this on a couch, for example. That would be a bad place to do this. Or don't do this over on a carpet, because again, that would be a bad place to do it because you cannot clean it from the carpet. So just choose a spot that you can easily clean up after, because splatter has a tendency to go places where you don't want it to go. It just does. It lives its own life, goes where it decides to go. So here is mine fully splattered. And then we'll add a couple stars and move to our trees. But again, guys, Give me thumbs up when you're ready, and only then we'll move to next step. We are not in a rush. Yes, exactly. Good thing acrylic is water-based because you can wash it off from places. But guys, it's best to do it while it's still wet. Once it dries, if let's say you got it on your clothes, once it dries, it's there to stay forever. It's not coming out. So if you got it on any fabrics that you would like it to be removed from, feel free to just throw it into wash right away or just wash off that spot. It usually comes off pretty well, as long as you do it while it's wet. All right, so after that, I'm gonna add a couple stars. Again, I'm gonna grab the smallest brush that I have. I'm just gonna add a couple flicks for our shooting stars. From the bottom up in any direction. You can have lots of them, you can have just a few. That is totally your choice, how many and where, in which direction, and so on. All right, I have all my shooting stars. So now I'm gonna put this one away. I'll move this one. I'm gonna let this one dry up for a bit. And we're gonna move on to our tree trunks. So how are we gonna do tree trunks? We're actually gonna start by putting vertical lines for our tree trunks from the bottom out. Some of them are gonna be taller, some of them are gonna be shorter, and so on. And after that, we're gonna turn those tree trunks into the actual trees. Let me show you on a separate piece of paper what that would look like. So I'll put this one away too for now. Let's put them both away for now. So let's say those are our tree trunks. I'm going to start by putting one. This is one tree trunk. Now, with this tree trunk, I am going to start from the top and turn it into a tree. How I'm going to do it? I'm going to do brush strokes from the sides, from the inside out, pointing bottom. So I'm doing it as if bottom is right here, right? So it's going to look like this. You see all my brush strokes I'm doing from the tree trunk out. Never do them the other way around, because if you do them that way, they're going to be thicker on the ends and thinner closer to the bottom, to the middle. And what you want is you want it the other way around. You want it to be super solid closer to the tree trunk and nice and pointy on the end. So that's why you're always going to flick from the inside out. So from the tree trunk out. And also you want the top of your trees to be very, very pointy. So you want to have a very, very small flicks on top. And then as you go lower, you're going to start making every following flick a bit bigger, a bit bigger, a bit bigger, and so on until you get to the bottom. And the bottom should be the biggest flicks there. So like that. Small, bigger, 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 biggest. Now there's an easier way to do it too. So the other way you can do it is, again, you're going to start from the tree trunk and then you're just going to do one line. Instead of doing flicks like I did there, you can just do this. Still maintain the triangular shape of the tree. You see it still looks like a triangle of sort, right? You need to have a nice pointy top, and then as you go lower, you need to get wider, wider, and wider. So either one is fine. I personally like that look more, so I'm going to go with that look. But if you find that this is easier for you, you can do that as well. But before we do that, before we move on to our actual trees, we're going to start by putting tree trunks. So I'm gonna grab my small brush again. I'll put this one aside. It's a bit too thick for this work. So I'm gonna grab a small brush and some black paint, and I'm gonna start with a dry ornament. So I'm gonna put a couple tree trunks. Some of them are gonna be longer, some of them are gonna be shorter. And all of them are gonna start from the bottom. So do you see one, second one, shorter, not the same height. Third one even shorter. Next one really long, and so on. You can decide how many you have, how big they are. Just make sure you have a variety. You can have them way closer to each other than mine, or you can start by placing them really far from each other and then see if you need to fill it more, because you can always add a couple in between too. So that really is your choice. So those are my tree trunks. I'm pretty good with this amount. I might add later a couple more in between, but maybe not. Maybe this should be okay. And now I'm going to start turning them into the actual trees. So I'm going to start with this one. You see I'm flicking from the inside out, starting with the very small brush strokes on top. And then as I go lower, my brush strokes get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I will do the same thing with all the other tree trunks. Yay! I'm glad you guys like it. Me too, I'm quite happy with how it's turning out. Absolutely, you can add moon. That's a great idea. For sure, that will look awesome. And I have a last one here. So ta-da! My first one is done here. You see, you can actually add more trees. You see, mine have quite a bit of space in between. So if you wanted to, you can add a couple more trees right in between. There is enough space there. And also, once you finish this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab that stand. I'll put it on my stand very gently and carefully with the bottom up. See, I need that bottom up. And I'm going to grab my medium brush. I'll just color this bottom with black. So then it's fully covered from every angle. I'm gonna let it dry up for a little. The good thing is my paint dries crazy fast. And I'm gonna move on to my second one, and I will do exact same thing onto my second one. So I'm gonna start by adding the tree trunks from the bottom of the tree, from the bottom right here out. And I'll make them all different heights, some bigger, some smaller, some taller, some shorter, and so on. So I added all the tree trunks. Now I'm going to start turning them into trees. Exact same way that I've done with the other one. So sparkles, there are a couple different ways you could do sparkles. One of the ways is you could do sparkles. Yes, you can definitely put them while the paint is wet. That's for sure. However, you also want to do them the last layer. So it's kind of hard because we're doing only one color at a time, right? So by the time you're moved on to your last color, the rest of the colors are already dry. So there are a couple different ways you can do your sparkles. If you are varnishing, you can put a varnish and then on varnish with sparkles. You can use sparkle glue. They're already, well, you're probably all familiar with a glitter glue. You can use glitter glue because it dries clear. There are a lot of clear gels that you can find in art stores that contain glitter as well. So that's probably the safest way for you to put glitter, is just wait until it fully dries and then put sparkle. Yes, you can definitely add sparkle in a wet paint if you're still on a wet paint step. You can add sparkle on it while it's still wet, no problem. I'm personally a bigger fan of glitter glue. And again, endless glitter gels from art stores, but only because you can add them once you finish fully, right? You don't have to wait to the, you don't have to add it halfway through. We can wait till the end. And then what I would personally recommend doing is once you're done, don't add them onto trees. If you have a glitter glue or any glitter substance that is contain some sort of base, just dab a couple on the sky. Don't even brush them on, just grab them on a finger again and just dab some on the sky. That will work well. That way they are not on your trees and it will look like they are stars, glittering stars. Shimmering stars in the distance will look really, really good here. But honestly, wherever you want. It's your painting. It's your ornament. So wherever you think you should add them, it's all good. Or if you have a glue that dries transparent, what you could do, once your painting is fully dry though, you need to wait until your ornament is fully dry. And then you can add a little bit of a regular glue that dries transparent, whichever, if you have that one. If you don't have that one, don't do it. But if you have the glue that dries transparent, add a little bit of that glue on top, then just dust some glitter on and let it dry fully. Oh no, I'm sorry. That sucks that it fell into your black paint. All right, so mine is finished. So now again, I'm just gonna cover up my bottom here. So I'm just gonna grab my medium brush, some black, and I will fill up that hole here, this uncovered area. It's just straight black. And it is fully finished. Here is what it looks like, both of them. Put them side by side here. And if you want after that to add some glitter to them on top, go for it. If not, that's okay too. If you want to varnish them, you can. But again, you don't have to. And another thing you can add is a ribbon. So if you would like you are absolutely free to just add some ribbon on top of that. And then if you have your tree up, you can just put them right on a tree. This is what they look like. Guys, I hope you had lots of fun. Does anyone have questions for me? If you do, please ask them out now while I'm still here. I'll be happy to answer all the questions that I can possibly answer if I have the answers for you, and hopefully I do. And again, if you've done this too with me today and you had fun and you like doing it, but your color scheme on your tree, some different colors, and this wouldn't perfectly match, you can go with this different color scheme and just do it by the same principle, starting with the lightest color and then building the intensity darker, 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 like we've done 2 times today with different colors. You can do this in yellow and oranges. You can do this in red and yellows and oranges. You can do this in greens. You can do this in just pinks, no purples. Any color that you can think of, you can do it in that shade of color. Just building the intensity little by little from light to dark. Let's take another really close look here. Yay! I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. And if you had fun and you just want to say thank you to us, you can do that in comments. And best compliment is actually if you want to give us a good review or share with a friend who can benefit from this and make a couple ornaments with you, you can do that as well. All right, guys. I'm going to let you be, and I'm going to let you work on your beautiful ornaments. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I hope you have a great night. Bye, guys.